Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes on the private server Rebirth. We are once again with our level 37 Stalker Tiger Shrike, who has 5 million experience, 400,000 to get to the next level, 19 million influence because I just sold something for 1.222222 million. I don't know why that number keeps coming up. Why is it that people keep bidding 1,222,222? I don't know what that signifies. It's sort of odd. But in any case, so guys, I didn't want to wait to complete the story arc from Cadeo Kestrel, so I got an idea. And this is where if we were doing this live on Twitch or something and you guys could type stuff into the chat, somebody would have suggested this. I reduced the notoriety to +0. And this way I could run in, and I said, well, I'll just run in and sneak around the mission and just save the hostages. I figured they'd be in the same place. Well, the mission's in Talos. It's the same map, but the hostages were in different places. The same thing happened to me again, guys. I killed the 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 hostage that disappeared was in the same place with a behemoth and a caster. I killed the caster. I killed the behemoth. By the time the behemoth was dead, the hostage disappeared. And I think they reappeared somewhere else because at that point I said, let me get them first. So I'd only rescued like one other hostage. I thought maybe there's some bug if it's the last hostage. Disappeared. I thought, okay, I don't know what to do now. So I just treated it as a defeat all and went through and defeated every friggin' mob. This took me 45 minutes at +0 just because of how many of them there were. I actually found the Envoy of Shadows in a hallway. He was only +0 to me, so he was a red elite boss. He went down without too much trouble. I had to use my inspirations, but, I had to use all 3 Lux, all 3 heals, and all 3 click powers and hasten, but it was no big deal. So at +0, he's not a problem. I don't know what he'd be like at +2 or 3. That's what I was hoping to test. So I went through and I was down 2 hostages, and I'd been in one room and was sure there weren't any hostages there, and I went back there and like one of them was under something, one of them was in a corner. So I don't know if I missed one in my last playthrough or if it was a bug or what. But in any case, we've finished that mission. And Kestrel then says to us, you saved a lot of lives today and may have disrupted the envoy's negotiations. According to Akarist, that won't be enough to stop things, but it should slow him down. The envoy can be defeated, but it can't be destroyed or banished, at least not yet. I'll also ask Akarist about this Hecate, excuse me, that you found mentioned. So what I'm going to do now, I decided to try this. We've been doing everything on +2. We've been getting a lot of +3s. What I want you guys to do is see how this character plays at +0. This is the way the game was at launch. This is an original story arc now. I don't know if Oren Bega was even in at launch. It wasn't in at launch. I don't remember if it had been in by the time Envoy was put in, but it's one of the original story arcs. And it follows the Library of Souls, Lost Souls story arc, which is also one of the originals. And so back at launch, in the first few months of the game, when you would have stumbled onto this story arc at level 37 for real the first time, you would not have been able to set it to other difficulties. It was +0. And it was at this point that the +0 missions were starting to become boringly easy. Now, Circle of Thorns is never boringly easy, even level to you, but I want you to see how different it is when you get into a spawn of white cons with nervous spectral demons versus reds and purples. You're going to see what a difference it is with a character like this and how powerful this character is. Because, guys, I'm going build up, one shot one guy, two shot the other 2 guys, one shot the third guy. 4 hits. If I don't miss anybody, and you don't miss much when they're +0, they're all down. And it takes like 4 seconds. I want you guys to see the difference between that and fighting reds and purples, and why we set it on +2, because it would just be, you wouldn't even want to watch. But I think it's worth it just for one mission, okay? So, Icarus was nearly overcome with fear when I told him about the message you found about Hecate, and the concept really worried him. He says that it's likely that the Circle will try to confirm this on their own. This might match with reports that the Circle of Thorns have taken over a small office and are preparing some kind of a ceremony there, and that's we need to stop. Okay, so we're going to go to the office in Skyway City and look for clues. And the Hecate and the Moo. Oh my gosh, this is really long. So Akaris wrote Though we did not know of them until the war, the Mu were our sworn enemy for hundreds of years. How could they be your sworn enemy if you didn't know them? Within a fortress island forged of iron and fear, they had been trained to hate us and to fight against us for generations. Their goddess demanded it, and they obeyed her in all ways. They believed that their chosen place upon this world was to serve the righteous implement of her will, to serve as the righteous implement of her will, and in their deeds and customs did they enshrine this, so that to do otherwise would be unthinkable. At our command they performed generations of what you would call eugenic breeding to strengthen the magic within their bloodlines. At our command they crushed all contrary thought, and made no art that did not praise her name. At her command they attacked our peaceful Orenbega on a spring day, sowing ruin on our city and bringing the war. And that's the wrong version of sewing. It should be S-O-W, sewing. This type of sewing is with a needle and thread. The name of the goddess was Hecate. Hecate was in our myths as well, for it was her followers who had hounded us from our lands and drove our forebears into the sea. But I thought they said they didn't know of them. This is weird. In our myths, she was the former lover of Hermeth, the god who taught our people the magic he had learned from fabled Tieleku. Ooh, maybe we'll get the Scroll of Tieleku at some point too, which is an awesome story arc. We might have out-leveled that already, though. I think that's low 30s. Hecate was also Hermeth's greatest foe, and it was from her armies we had fled under one sea across another to the land we would call Orenbega. And then he says, if the envoy speaks truly and Hecate moves again, I do not know if it will be your good or ill. To your good or ill, she hated Orenbega and would hate that we have become, and would hate what we have become even more. However, it must be remembered that her hatred stemmed from our refusal to bow down to her. Okay, so I'm going to go to Skyway City, and I'll bring you guys back when we are at the mission door. Okay, we're back, and we now need to look for clues and disrupt the ritual. So these guys are +1s, right? And there's a +1 there. And now you're going to see the difference between fighting red. These guys would be red and purple now, I believe, right? +3 would be red to me. And he would be purple, but instead they're yellow and orange. You're going to see a world of difference now as we go through this mission. What it's like to play the game the way it was originally designed. Right? They don't do as much damage to me, they don't hit me as much, I don't miss them as much. Right? Now that doesn't mean we're never going to need to use our, our heals and stuff like that, but it does mean they're going to be wildly easier to fight than they would have been if they were red and purple. Done. And that was actually a hard spawn, right? It was +1. That was like a +1 × 2 spawn. It was like 2 players +1, which is not what we've asked for. All right, now you're going to see. Okay, so this is what most of your spawns would look like. A +1 lieutenant with a couple of minions. Really, there's an extra minion in these spawns, and I don't know why. But as frustrating as these guys are when they're red and purples, look at that. He's done, right? And then these guys are going to be easier too, right? Yes, I will miss them. They will deflect. That's part of what their power set is, right? But they're not going to, I'm not going to miss them as much. And look at, they're not, just can't do anything to me, right? Look how easy this is. And that is why I stopped playing in live after 3 or 4 months, because it was just too easy. No, it wasn't 3 or 4 months. It was 9 months. But I stopped playing in live. Oh, there's a boss. I stopped playing in live after I got into the low 40s, because as easy... Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. As easy as it is to do this at level 37, it's even more boringly easy at level 43 when they're all white cons. So you really need to be able to buff that difficulty level. And this is all because, guys, they didn't test the high level content enough. They had to go live, and when they went live in April, most of the players in the game, because the leveling curve was much slower at the lower levels than it is now, And they had done that to make it take you forever to level because they were trying to keep you subscribing, right? Um, and so it was really long to get to into the 30s. I mean, it took a really long time. My recollection is that I was in the mid 30s in Founders Falls, assassinating or marshal kicking Nemesis snipers in August of 2004 when I was unemployed for about a month. And August of 2004, that's 3.5 months, right? So it took 3.5 months to get into the 30s. And that was playing pretty hardcore. That was with the server up 24/7 when early beta started. The server wasn't up every day, it was only up on a certain schedule. People couldn't play the whole time. They hadn't, um, the players hadn't learned how to maximize their play styles and things like that to be efficient and be really fast at leveling. And so, and a lot of people were like, the database got wiped, or we're making changes. Everybody's going back to level 1. We're going to start over. We want you to retest the tutorial content, things like that. So people, the vast majority of players in beta never got past level 30. And so all the level 1 to 30 content was heavily tested before it went live, but the level 31 to 40 content was only tested by a few players. Maybe a few hundred players or something, if that, versus having tens of thousands of players in live, right? And so they thought the content at this level was hard enough, right? But it wasn't. And to make matters worse, and not that it was bad design, right? To make matters worse in terms of their ability to get data on this, the a lot of the players didn't have a lot of influence because there was no way to sell on the auction house, right? You could only sell the enhancements you were getting. People hadn't learned in the early levels not to buy trainers, not to buy DOs, save up for SOs. They hadn't figured out how to farm. They hadn't figured out the idea of going into debt to slow your leveling. And a lot of this stuff didn't occur to people during beta. And so you were getting people in the 30s who were still working on DOs because they couldn't afford SOs, right? Even though they knew they wanted them. And there was no way to trade influence down to your alternate characters or any of that during beta, which are things that people started doing during the regular game. And so the characters in the 30s weren't as powerful as the characters are today or were even in live. And so they were dealing with weaker characters. They were dealing with inexperienced players who didn't have the game down. They didn't have their character down. They didn't have their archetype down. And so they thought that these white cons were a reasonable challenge. And during beta, perhaps, almost certainly, they were. But when you get into live, where there's a lot more influence to be had, where everybody's got a full set of SOs by level 25, where certainly by 35, where you really know your archetype because you've been playing it a lot, and the servers are up 24/7 and stuff like this, and people figured out, I'm just going to play in permadeath to slow down my leveling so that I've always got tons of influence to spend. So they're working on full sets of SOs. It wasn't challenging enough, and they simply couldn't have known that until they actually put it live. But you can see how ridiculously easy it is at level +0. What did that mission take us? 5 minutes? 7 minutes? 7 minutes. Done. Super easy. Was there any challenge? What did I do? Have to hit reconstruction once? Maybe not even that. You see how easy that is. And so, guys, I'm going to put it back up to +2 so that we have an actual challenge. But I just wanted you to see this is why we run on +2 and why people got frustrated during live and why a lot of people started quitting in September, October, November because they got to level 50 and it was too, like the 40s were really long because the developers knew that was going to be the final level cap, and people had complained that they got to level 40 too quickly. So it took you like twice as many missions and minion defeats, right? twice as much to get from like 40 to 50 as it took you to get from 1 to 40. They really ramped up the leveling curve, right? So if it'd take you, I don't know, 100 hours of play to get to level 40, it was going to take you 200 hours of play to get from 41 to 50. But it was 200 hours of just grinding through missions like this that we just played, where there's no challenge, you never touch your inspirations. I mean, my martial arts super reflex scrapper, I used to do missions in 5 to 7 minutes like that. I never touched her inspiration tray. I never touched a loot. It's like, why am I even playing, right? It was too easy, and that's why when I hit level 43 and I had done this for 3 or 4 levels where it's just no challenge, I just said I'm done. When I came back to the game, City of Villains had come out, and I was playing low-level villains, and then by the time I came back to the game, maybe the notoriety had been put into beta, so I was like, okay, then I'll start playing my scrapper again when I'm able to set the difficulty, which is what we're going to do now. But if you can't set the difficulty, this game would be too easy. And the only other thing you could do back in those days was, and people used to do this, but I never did because I just thought it was silly. You'd invite 3 or 4 people into your group, spawn the mission, and then it spawns for a 4-man team, and then you would just drop everybody from your team and fight solo against a 4-man mission, and then you'd get some sort of a challenge. But again, if they're all white cons, even that is just not much of a challenge. So we're going to go over here, and since I'm talking, I figure I may as well run while I'm talking. We're going to go over here and set our notoriety back. And I'm doing it now before I call Cadeo Kestrel so that hopefully the next mission will be scaled correctly. Sometimes it takes it a little bit to figure it out. So back to +2s, guys. So now we are +2 to our security level. But that mission hasn't changed, and now we contact him. And he says, it's good that you hit that ritual, even if the results were inconclusive. Heckwat still exists, though, and that may be enough to lead the Circle towards working with the Envoy. If the Circle starts to consider accepting the deal, then we have to move fast to stop them. And now, all of your work to stop the Envoy of Shadows and the Circle from making the deal is paying off, but there have been some repercussions. The Envoy is preparing to accelerate the deal, and is going to make a ceremonial gift of new thorn blades to the Circle of Thorns. I'd like you to disrupt the exchange and take those thorn blades. The Envoy itself will likely be there, and defeating him will be necessary to break his ability to sense and retrieve the thorn blades. It might be a good idea to bring Alice. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't have set this on +2, but let's try it. And we'll see how we do, guys. If we fail, we fail. I feel like we might want to grab some Lux. You know what I'm going to do is just take this and this out, and we'll see if we can get some Lux as we go through the mission. So we're going to go to Founders Falls. I'll bring you back when we're inside the mission. I think this isn't... Oh, I thought this was an outdoor mission on Homecoming. But I'll bring you back when we're there, and we'll see how we do against this guy at +2. Okay, we're back, guys. Hopefully this is not another huge, giant mega mission, because we're already 18 minutes into this video, and it looks like it might be. So you need to defeat the Envoy and its missions, find the last blade, and seek clues. So we're just going to have to wander around, see what there is to see. And we don't have to defeat all, according to this, so I am going to ignore these guys and see if we can find the clues. I'm guessing a glowy or 2. Probably 1 glowy for the clues, and 1 glowy for the last blade, and then the Envoy. And we gotta hope we don't hit the Envoy too soon, because I'd like to pick up a couple more large purple inspirations. Okay, this way. And we're at a dead end, so let's head back. This way. So if it's clues, we should be listening for glowies. At least that's a little less frustrating than dealing with kidnap victims who don't make any noise and are impossible to find. Earththorn casters. They're of no interest right now. Let's hover up. Guides. I don't hear any glowies. So the way we're going to do this is just see if we can... Oh boy. Oh, I hear a glowy. So, wow, it's a good thing I did not attack that caster. Because we got a purple Nervous Spectral Demon Lord down here. And I was going to hit the caster first because I saw him all by himself. Good thing I didn't. Okay, well, if he's going to slow my recharge time, I'm going to go ahead and hasten up. And now he dies. You can see how much harder it is fighting reds, right, compared to whites and yellows. Now, where is this glowy? There it is. So this must be the clues. We got a clue. Naming notes. So hastily written notes, detailed abbreviations of the Envoy of Shadows, including numerous conjectures about its true name. So my guess is if you find out its true name, you can control it, right? Usually with magic, knowing the true name of something allows you to control it. In fact, the Romans believed that each town had a sacred name, and if you could control the sacred name, you could basically prevent that town's god from protecting them. And supposedly there was a sacred name of the city of Rome. And nobody knows what it is, because since it was a secret true name, they didn't tell anybody. There was all kinds of speculation of what it might have been, but nobody actually knows for sure. Okay, so the Thornblade is over here, and it sounds like that might be the Envoy, no? Yep. Is that him? Now, last time I encountered him at +0, he could see through me, through my hide. There's the Envoy. Alright, so we gotta clear this out, because I don't want these guys getting involved. We also gotta hope we get a luck. If not, we might be a little screwed against the Envoy. I don't know if we're going to be able to beat him. It depends if he's +2 or +3. He is +2. That's better. I don't know if he's chained to this guy. I don't know if he's going to see if I attack this guy. Let's clean this area out. See if we can maybe, perhaps, possibly... I can't believe I'm voluntarily fighting Nervous Spectral Demon Lords, but I want to see if we can maybe, possibly, perhaps get another luck or two. I didn't buy him from the hospital when I could have, because I was hoping to get a bigger one like this, +25%. I mean, that's enough to do a good job for us, but it only lasts a minute. I'd love to have one more, but it doesn't look like the luck is with us on the lucks. We do have to defeat him and his minions, so we probably got to take out everybody in here anyway, come to think of it. So let's go ahead. 2 Nervas. Let's take out the one that's not moving. This will also give hasten time to recharge as well. Not bad, not bad. I definitely don't want to use my 2 hits, inspirations, or anything right now, because it's just a minion. I'll get him eventually, like that. No luck on the luck. Alright, let's let the hide engage, alright? And now we're going to float around and see what else is in here. Are these the only 2? Yeah, I really wish I had more than 1 luck against this guy. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this enemy here, this Earththorn caster, if he's going to see me. Is his back to me? No, his front is to me. That's bad. Let's see if we can do it. Did he react? He doesn't seem to have reacted, so let's get this guy over here, because we don't want to have to fight him and the envoy together. Okay. And now we're going to wait and let the hide re-engage. Should we click on this thing? Is he going to see me? Am I too close? You know, I have an idea. This is kind of cheesing it, but I'm not in his line of sight there, and I can click on it. Okay, so we've got everything done but beating the envoy. I suspect there's a hospital trip in our future here, guys, because we don't have enough luck. If we go to the hospital, I'll grab, I don't know, maybe 6 lucks, and we'll try again. But this guy has how many hit points? 4,762. And this thing does about 600 on a shot. So we're going to have to hit him with like 8 of these, plus everything else. Alright, let's go for it. Hasten up. And we are ready to assassinate. Oh, no, that's right. He can see me because he's got a damage shield. Right there. Dead. Wow. Okay. So we definitely need more lucks, because if he's going to be able to one-shot me, then he can't hit. So I'll buy some lucks and get my inspiration sorted out, and then I'll be back and we'll try to fight him again. And if we fail 2 more times, I would say I'm going to just abandon this mission and set it back to +0, and I'll do it without showing it to you guys, because you don't need to see it over again. But I'll pause here. Okay, guys, we're back, and you know what occurs to me? We have secondary mutation. According to this, we can get a random permanent buff for up to 20 minutes. So let's see what it gives me. Pain tolerance. Nothing. A little bit regeneration rate. Endurance reduction. Maybe it'll help a little. I don't know. Alright, guys. Here we go again. I'm going to go ahead and pop instant healing. So we have it right from the start, and we're just going to take a ranged attack at him since he can see through hide. And then I'm placating him. And then we're just going to pound him, and I'm just going to placate him as much as I can. Look at this. He is insane in terms of the damage he puts out. Alright, now instant healing should help us some here. Man, I'm just getting my butt kicked. I just don't think we can do him on +2. He's just scaled to be almost an arch-villain. Even 3 lux is not stopping him from hitting me. We're going to have to see what his 2-hit was with me on 52% defense. Placate. All it does is save me a beating a little bit. And let's bring more lux in. Hits, haste. We're throwing everything we got at him. I don't know if it's gonna be enough to win. Nope. Yeah, he healed himself, and I can't heal myself yet. Oh, that knockdown helped. We might get him, guys. Maybe. Yes! We got him! And we earned a badge. Repaired. That must be from all the hits we took. Continue to fight in honor of Pretoria. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Okay, now there were a couple of guys down here that I noticed on the way in, so we gotta assassinate them. But guys, we took him out. That was awesome. Barely, but we got him. Obviously, if he'd been +0, it would have been no problem at all. He was much easier, obviously, at +0. And we completed the mission. Now, what did we get for him? We got 11,000 for him and 39,000 influence. 7,000. So we got like 50% more experience for defeating him than for doing the mission. Oh, no, more than that. It was 19,000 because we worked off debt, right? So we got 19,000 experience and 39,000 influence, so twice as much influence as XP. And it was almost triple the amount of experience and more than, well, almost quintuple the amount. Yeah, quintuple the amount of influence as completing the mission, which is pretty amazing. So we defeated him there, but I think we're still going to have to fight him again. This shows that we can beat him at +2. +3, I don't know. Not bad, guys. Those thorn blades will be well hidden and protected until they can be safely studied. Good work. From the notes you found, it looks like the Circle of Thorns are trying to discover the true name of the Envoy of Shadows. Names are very important in Magic, and having the Fiend's true name could be a big advantage. Talk with me about this soon. Alright, so we're moving along in this story. It's a pretty big story arc. Sort of odd formatting. Usually there's a space in between each paragraph. It's a little odd. I'm going to have to look at this on Homecoming and see if the spaces are there, because I don't remember this happening on Homecoming. So I wonder if it's a little bit of a bug. In any case, I think we're going to stop here, guys. We're now 6 beads into level 37. We're very close to our final, or our signature regeneration power, which is Moment of Glory. And then you can see how that works for player characters. But in the meantime, we're going to stop, and I will see you next time. I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes.